Well, let's hop into our first match of week number 2 of the ESL Premiership Spring season. And already we will see the first bans coming in. Straight away, Ash is going to be off the board. Well, that is certainly going to be a counter ban towards one specific player. Capcan doesn't have any fun with the girl tonight.
No, not at all, and Glaz going to be coming in there for the second ban from Vexed. That's an operator that they do tend to ban out a fairly high percentage of the time. And Epsilon there countering that with the mirror again. No real main surprises. Maybe the Ash bit of a surprise, like you say, a bit more of a target ban there. Yeah. But Glaz and mirror pretty everyday.
Valkyrie as well. So this does mean that we're seeing both Echo and Maestro available in play. I don't know how I feel about that. I think that both of those operators together are just too strong at the moment. You have just the intel is insane.
Yeah, and they force a lot of picks as well on the side of the attackers, and you're going to see a lot of Zafir play now. Ash not being well, IQ, but maybe Ash not being available and Maestro being in play with the Evil Eyes just plays into it a little bit. You can see there that Epsilon are going to straight away go on the Zafir and the Sledge, so they've got the nades and they've got the lifeline. Both there going to be able to deal with any Maestros that they're going to be. However, Vexed, unless they 6-pick on into a Maestro, maybe we're not going to see one. We're not.
They still have Echo, which I think that in the current meta, Echo is a stronger pick than Maestro, because Maestro camera's a lot easier to detect as soon as you know where one is. Sophia, like we talked about, can easily come in, get rid of that. No harm done. Echo drones, it's a thing that's gonna probably uproot your entire attack. It feeds that intel that you just can't see.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you've got to be a little bit more active as a Maestro, whereas Echo can because the cameras are movable, Echo can get herself hidden away.
And a teammate can use them as well.
Teammates can use them as well. You can move them around, and they can be moved around the map so you can go and gather information and help your owners. And you're seeing Dumpling go on that, so he's obviously picking a pretty hard support role there, which could help establish himself into the team a little bit, as opposed to choosing a Maestro where you've got to be pretty active.
And again, Echo provides that ACOG, which I think, especially for this particular map, where there is a lot of those long angles that players like Sophia like to open up these soft walls, have these extreme long angles in towards these different rooms. Him having the ACOG gives him a little bit more flexibility, knowing that he can try and take the fights. And we will see this upstairs hold, and it's quite an interesting one, because we're seeing a 4-1 split. So 4-1 split, 4 players holding upstairs, only 1 on the bomb. So they do have to be careful of a potential rush, but since they have so many players upstairs, they can easily deny that from the hatches above, and also even Feral with the shotgun can try and open up above his enemies. And it comes down to see how Epsilon want to take this. More than likely, they're going to attack it as if it was an armory defense. Try and sweep in through the offices already. The drones come in. They have the Blackbeard, which is a big player as well, to try and get in there. Win those gunfights as 1v1s, and already we can see the aggression come in, but Pi, he will punish Astro quite heavily, and even trying to fight back a couple more. That Blackbeard still laying down the rounds from the Scar, and Pi gets a little too frisky for himself, and Pro, with the headshot, will put him down.
Pretty good exchange early on, I think, there from Epsilon. They've not quite got officers control, but they're well on the way. They've managed to root Pi out of there, which is going to be a big job. But you can see there, the Yokai drone of Dumpling is waiting in the rafters, in the roof of office. There's some awesome hiding spaces in there for Yokai drones, and it's going to make it really difficult for Shermie now as he's pushing in, aware that there's going to be somebody playing over in Archive and behind Fountain. When there's going to be a Yokai drone that's going to be able to provide him some support. You can see a defender there just getting up onto the stack over in Archive. Not quite going to get an angle. They are going to get the angle. That's going to be Feral that was doing that. Couldn't tell from the outline. Jesus is going to pick up a kill of his own. Quickly, this is going in Vex's favour now, despite the first blood from Epsilon. All of a sudden, we're in a 4 versus 2. 1 minute left. Epsilon now not looking so good.
Blur will also find another, and that will square things back in the favour of Epsilon, but still Vexed in full control. As long as Echo is alive, that means that Epsilon cannot successfully complete the plant. Blur will be looking for any angles he can, but still with the upstairs control, he has to be cautious if any holes being made above him. And Feral's still alive. He has the shotgun adaptability, of course, can always be there. And Feral, just like we talked about, he has the SMG-11 in hand. And even another one for Jesus as well, with the 416. Rips into the Sophia. And Vex take round number 1.
Great round there from Vexed. I think it was a risky play, holding 4 guys upstairs.
Yeah.
I mean, If Epsilon there had just sledged the way through detention and rushed the site and done I don't know if they maybe didn't do enough drone work or they just had too much of an idea of how they wanted to take it. But if they'd have just played into that a little bit more, you could have seen a really different round there. They had, Vexed had upstairs control, they had shotgun holes, they had rotates down. But I think you take out the Echo in that scenario, you maybe get a plant off while some trades are going. It could play out a little bit differently. I think, Epsilon really have played into Vexed's hands there. And it's not really done them all too well. But I mean, we're going to see a different site this time, of course, because Vexed have just won. We're going to get the Maestro as well, which is always good. So now we get to see, almost the true power that's available on defense when you've got both the Echo and the Maestro available. And it's a great objective to use it on as well, Armory Lockers. I think it's one of the better ones if you're going to bring the Maestro.
And this is another thing that sometimes I love to see from attacks. Typically, if you talk about, who is the best 5 operators, you look at Thermite, Sledge, Ash, Sophia, Havana. That's usually the go-to that a lot of people like to say, maybe Thatcher in there. But sometimes, I always like to see a big impact operator, one that can completely change the outcome of the round, such as a Ying. We know as soon as those Candels come in, the quick rush and you're in bomb site straight away. You can say the same for a Glaz. Of course, Glaz isn't going to be here either, but just something that puts immediate impact on the table that the defenders have to adapt to, and adapt quickly as well at that. And I love the fact that Ying is going to be picked up. It's going to be a very strong strategy for Epsilon, but then again, Vexed have so much intel. We've talked about the Maestro, we've talked about the Echo. As soon as you see a Ying, you can just rotate everybody towards that one bomb site and just get ready for the reflex.
The great thing about bringing the Echo, if a Ying is brought, is the Yokai drone isn't going to get stunned. It isn't going to get flashed. You can sit in the Yokai drone, make the call that the push is coming through, and all of a sudden it makes your job a heck of a lot easier. They've not got a C4 on the ball, which maybe would have been nice, maybe looking to deny the plant that way, but there's plenty of other ways that they're going to be able to deny the plant with the Yokai drones and the Maestro Eagle Eyes. So it's that balancing act, and like you say, I do like the Ying because it's a bit of a risk and a bit of a reward. You've got to get your Candelas in, the person's got to get flashed, and then you've got to make the push off it and really commit to it as a team. And it's possible that they're going to be looking to do that here now, just trying to root Jesus there out of fountain area. But Pi is going to pick up the first kill onto Proyo. Proyo there just getting a little bit too brave again at the triple wall in offices.
That's going to be nades off the board from Epsilon as well, so potentially something they could have used to burn those ADSs as well, to give those Yings more of a line of sight and just a free run really at the defense. Jesus' wall has been opened up. No band on the side, of course, as they have decided to pick up those double denial operators in the Echo and Maestro. Only Echo left, and as you can see, not having that band has really come in to affect them. And like we've talked about in Border, those long angles are so strong.
Yeah, and you can see Shermy there exploiting one of those long angles and picking up the kill over onto Pi. Looking pretty good for Epsilon at this stage, just over halfway through the round. You can see there Dumpling's Yokai drone is still in place in offices, and that's going to provide them all the information that they're going to need to establish when the push is going to come from. I'm not sure what Blur's doing at this point, but I think he's got to be looking to get that armory wall open, or sorry, the officer's wall open at some point. Astro picking up the kill onto Zach. Jaeger no longer going to be a factor as we move into this 4 versus 2 with about a minute left. It's all going to come down now, and Epsilon really need to keep applying this pressure and keep getting the trades, because there's still a lot of deniability left on the side of Vexed. As I say so, though, Astro's going to get the kill onto Feral. 2 quick kills to trade things out. It's going to be a straight trade, actually, between Dumpling and Shermy, and that's going to be the second round going over to Epsilon.
That's as basic as you would want from your Border attacks. Very strong sweep from Epsilon. They did everything by the books correctly, of course, always on Border. First step is kind of in your brain, it's kind of like a checklist of things you need to do. First step, clear these stairs. That's going to be your big point to try and hold the angles, have people rotating in and about, make sure that nobody can try and flank you from these stairs. We've seen Jaeger roams that have paid off massively with a free K and people stacked up outside of the wall and office. Then, of course, you try and take office. It was very easy. They didn't have the bandit to deal with, which I think was a big misstep in the way that Vex played that. I think on Border, certainly bandit, that's one of his stronger maps that he has available. He also has a C4 that he could have taken and try and tossed over. There's a lot of tables that he could try and snag a couple of explosive kills with. And then from there, everything just fell into place. Vex, they got flustered. They tried their best to try and retake the site as much as they can, but as soon as they lose their smoke in that scenario, it's really a lost cause for them. And also Maestro losing very early on, never a good sign as well.
Yeah, and when Echo's one of the last alive, his utility becomes relatively difficult to get off and to use, because obviously you're going to be getting pushed. So in that 2 versus 4 situation, the Echo doesn't really count for all too much when you get down to that stage. But like you say, Epsilon doing a great job. Usually with Border, you're either going to look to take CCTV or offices. One or the other is usually what you're going to want to do, depending, you know, and it doesn't really matter on which bomb site you're going to be going for, because you're going to be looking for that top floor control, whatever you're doing. But like you say, I'm not sure if they're going to get away with the office push again, because I'm sure that Vexed are going to be waiting for it. You can see Pi just playing a little bit out of position as to where he was last time, just maybe prepping a little bit around these stairs. We've also got Feral. He's going to be playing downstairs over in bathroom, probably just trying to hide out for the first, you know, early drone phase. You can see him there in the bathroom. That's going to enable him, with his scanner from there, he's going to be able to gather a lot of information as to where the push is coming from. He can then confirm it's going to be an office push, or at least that's where they're repelling, and potentially look to get a C4 kill through office floor or as the plant's going down over in archive. So good adaptation there from Vex. They really sort of identified what was maybe going wrong last time. Feral switched off the smoke, that Zach on the smoke. They are foregoing the Jaeger by doing this, but I think the C4 could hold a little bit more value.
I love this, that Feral's trying to adapt. They should know, oh, Pi is pro, tries to sledge in once again, another first blood for the Legion. I believe that's every round he's managed to get that first blood, but straight away gets refragged as well. So he is keeping that 1 kill to 1 death. But coming back to Feral, I love the adaptability. They know that Epsilon have no intentions of droning out any off below. They don't care about a pulse. They've kind of went for, you know, seeing that Valkyrie's being banned out. They know, oh, Valkyrie's banned out, we don't have to worry about the C4s. You still have an even stronger one in the form of the pulse as well. So Feral can simply go ahead, and whenever Blur wants to come over and try and firm out a double from Shermy with the LMG, that's once again the smoke just getting too aggressive once again. That's the one opera you don't want to lose, and yet they've lost them in this scenario. But still, as long as Feral's alive and as long as Jesus can start laying down those LMG rounds, there's always going to be hope at the end of the tunnel. And just talking about him, Jesus with the Alda will find another.
That's the kill you want in a clutch situation like this. 80 odd rounds in the magazine, you're not going to have to reload it. You're going to be able to get the job done despite being at a man deficit. But Jesus isn't going to want to peek all too hard at the minute. Feral there, going to be picking up that C4 kill that we've been going on about. Really crucial, bringing it back to 2 versus 2. It's now very doable from Vexed's point of view at this stage. Feral's almost certainly going to pick up this kill. I think it may be onto Astro at the top of main stairs. As, oh, Feral just bides his time and bides his shots, doesn't actually manage to connect. It's going to be Capcan, sorry, that peeks out. Feral is going to pick it up. Astro has now made his way into sight and has got the kill onto Jesus. Feral's got a decision here. He can either push this or he can use his scanner from below to try and find out if the plant is going down. Astro there has picked up the bomb. He's had to go over into offices for the trouble of it. The diffuser there is going to go down, but Astro's going to come off it almost momentarily. You can see there the new spectator symbol for the diffuser actually going down. Astro's going to be pushing the metal detectors. Feral's almost certainly going to get the kill, and he does. Feral doing a great job of clutching out the round there. Really, really patient play. Definitely a deserved round. Like we said, the adaptation, just playing things a little bit differently. But again, it could have gone Epsilon's way.
Personally, if I was in Epsilon's shoes, you know that you've just took control of Armory. You know he doesn't have a C4. He's going to be on metal stairs. You can simply go for a plant, and you're safe behind the cover, and then you simply just hold an angle behind the bomb. I'm quite surprised why he tried to challenge. In hindsight, of course, we know Epsilon are the aggressive team. They want to try and take the fight and try and win their gunfights 50-50. That's what that came down to. We talk about 50-50 so many times in Siege. You know, if you look right, get you a kill. If you don't, you die.
No, you're dead right, and like you say, hindsight from Astro there, plants the bomb, stays behind the bomb, you know, maybe gets a little head glitch going or something like that, can get a drone on it, play his time a little bit. Ultimately, you know, there's a chance Feral's going to push you in that situation, so there's really no right or wrong decision in the moment. You've got to pick something and see how it plays out. But yeah, I mean, like you say, it's all about hindsight, and we've got the beauty of watching the spectator screen, it being, you know, quite clear for us of what's actually going on. But we're going to see a different bomb site again. We're going to go back down to Vents. Vexed, of course, won their first defense down here in the first round. They played fairly aggressively. All 4 men, well, sorry, not all 4, but 4-man upstairs hold with only the echo of Dumpling playing downstairs. I'm not sure if that's how they're going to look to do it again. It looks as though that may be the case. Plenty of hatches being opened upstairs in offices. That's going to allow quick and easy rotation back down onto the site, should they start getting pushed too heavily. What about Proyo? He's going to have to sort himself out at the minute. He's got first blooded 3 times in a row. It's almost like he's caught the bug off Feral from last week, because Feral went through a stage of getting first blooded quite a lot as well in last week's matchup.
Maybe he's just missing his madman. Madman, you know, we need you. That's the problem here. But still, Epsilon, it's not over yet. They have plenty more chances to try and pull themselves back, and it's only 2-1. It's not as if it's way into the later stages, and they still have plenty more attacks to come. And of course, I think looking at it, Border, personally, the defense is quite favoured. I think a lot of the times there's more work that the players, the attackers, have to do. Just, you know, look at the defenders. They just have to sit back and hold an angle. There's not a lot of movement they have to do.
I mean, this spot that Pi's playing in is a perfect example. He's able to waste quite a lot of time. He's going to be able to get his utility back. And ultimately, it's not going to cause him all too much of a problem unless he peeks an open hole like that. And Proyo is going to break the curse. He is going to get first blood this time onto Pi, as opposed to getting first blooded as he has the past couple of rounds. Blur going to follow things up as well with a big kill onto the Echo. Dumpling no longer a factor. A lot of deniability there to lose in the first minute and 10 seconds. And upstairs control is slowly now being gained from Epsilon. They've got good office control. We're going to look for some yings, but there's a player, Jesus, playing behind the fountain wall, not been accounted for. He is going to get stunned by the Candela, and that's going to leave him pretty vulnerable, but nobody on Epsilon is going to take that advantage and push. So Feral and Jesus are allowed to hold this upstairs just a little bit longer. Jesus now tucking himself in beside the fountain. We've seen this position be quite powerful in the past. If he had a shotgun there, maybe that would be a little bit better, but he's actually got the MP5. That said, it's still going to do the business at that kind of a range. Feral still going to be playing upstairs with Jesus on that almost aggressive smoke roll, just to sort of deny a lot of time here. He's going to pick up a really easy kill there onto Blur. That's exactly what we were saying about 50-50 fights. Blur was looking right, should have been looking straight ahead, bringing the man count down to 3 versus 3. Jesus is going to miss his shots onto Astro. Astro's going to punish him for that. 3 versus 2 now as the round is progressing ever so slowly. But Feral going to pick up that kill onto Capcan. Another big kill from Feral. So rotating back through the site and still being able to gather a kill. But as that's happening, Zach's actually rotating upstairs. So the defenders are splitting up a little bit at this stage, and I'm not sure if they maybe should be trying to, you know, stick together on site as they're going to need to sort of get trades in the final few seconds.
Zach has swung in and has also found that down Astro that Feral did manage to snag through the floorboards, and it's down to Pro. He has the sledgehammer, but already you see the majority of the flooring has already been opened up by the defenders. Of course, that top-down strategy that Vexed have tried to establish, and it has worked for the most part. A great couple of frags being snagged in. I'm loving the rotation that Zach went for, and really at this stage, Pro has to try and drop and go for the kills, and as soon as he does, Feral lurking at the double door will find him with the SMG-11. Another kill for the smoke, and Vexed extend their lead.
Really big round there from Feral. I think he played that perfectly. He had sort of the aggressive smoke roll and denying a little bit of the early breach, if you will, from Epsilon, and the early attempt of taking over offices and map control. Feral was really able to stem that with some good smoke grenades and some good play. You can see there he's rocking 8 and 1 at the minute. I think he might have even got a 4K that last round. I think he certainly got a 3K. And just the way that he was able to get kills back down on the rotate as well was really important. Epsilon maybe not just trading as many kills as they should be at this stage, and still, you know, a couple of problems up on entry. I think they just need to get that dialed down a little bit now and really start taking control. Maybe try and switch things up a little bit. We're going to be seeing a new bomb site now. It's customs, so it's almost certainly going to force Epsilon to push in a different way. They're really going to want to look to have CCTV control and root out any defenders that are going to be playing up there to be able to get the vertical control and maybe look at getting the plant off, because up to now we haven't seen the plant.
Yeah, I think that's what we're expecting really in this game, is majority of them are trying to go for those kills. And I think just the meta that Siege has evolved into, we're not seeing as many plants these days. You know, it has swung away. Maybe that's because we've lost Vitality instead of Pro League, who we know Team Vitality were the team to plant every single time they could. I also think that Penta kind of falls in that same lineup, but Penta as well have kind of adopted that more aggressive strategy. Teams just aren't as focused on planting the diffuser as they used to be. It's all about the refrags and winning those 1v1s. And really, that's the only time, I can't remember the last time I seen a properly executed everybody's alive and the bomb gets planted strategy.
It happens.
It's been a while.
It's one of those things, it does happen, but like you say, there's no right or wrong way to win a round. That's the fact of the matter. If it's easier for you to just jump in and kill everybody, then great, you're going to win the round. If it's easier for you to jump in, execute a strategy and use some smoke cover, get a plan down, use your utility, then great, you've got a chance of winning the round. It just all comes down to personal play style, I think, and like you say, these two teams are probably the most aggressive teams that we've got in Prem currently. Vexed last season were known for their aggression and the things they brought. They really didn't, hold back. You could tell sometimes they were just really rushing the rounds and really trying to catch their opponent off guard. And it does work for them. They are a good stat. Look at that for a one tap from Capcan. Capcan there punishing Zach on the Ella. Zach's got no business peeking that. He's not got an ACOG, and Capcan's just ripped his head off for it. Great opening kill there from Epsilon. Untraded as well. That's going to make their entry that a little bit easier. Ella obviously a good operator to get some frags, and having the Grismot mines there as well. If she had any left, they are no longer going to be a factor.
So the drone phase will start coming in. Epsilon, they haven't really done too much of the droning, but in this circumstance they will. And Feral does manage to avoid the drone of Pro, and this could be detrimental because, of course, a pulse from below, and you don't know they have a pulse. It's going to be massive in the works. We know that having the Nitro Cell from below, just like he did before, can be all she wrote for the team of Epsilon. Astro try and send more drones in, and they are taking their time just a little bit more. They have already got one kill on the board, which I think was a very good early kill from Capcan with that insane angle and the headshot. Pro also seeing if he can try and aggress on the tellers, but they have slowed down quite a bit. Pro has spotted the rear end of Feral. That will be the call out that they need. Blur, the Thermite, wins that gunfight against the Pulse. FBI takes down FBI, and they will begin their final push with 50 seconds to go.
And that's another big kill, getting a Nitro Cell off the board and the scanner. Shermie's going to follow it up with one of his own. This is looking really, really good for Epsilon at this stage. Shermie, pretty low health at this point after that little exchange with Pi. Pi is going to make a run out, and Pi's going to pick up a double kill. That's going to swing heavily in Vex's favour. Pi's now able to make his way back into the objective. They have got the wall out. They have managed to get a Thermite hole there, so the plant has got a good chance of going down. Epsilon have gone from having 2-man advantage now to being 3-2, which isn't really where they want to be, especially in these final few seconds, as they're almost certainly going to have to start playing very aggressively and getting some kills or getting the plant down. Dumpling going to be doing his best up against Capcan. Pi as well. Pi with another Pi picking up a 4K that round, really clutching out the round and winning it for Vexed. Great game there for Pi.
A great hold coming in by the players of Epsilon. Oh, not Epsilon, Vex, should I say. Epsilon just falling short at the final hurdle. They had everything set up. They got rid of a pulse. They got that, of course, that amazing first blood as well coming in from Capcan. But really, what can you say? I think that's what some of these newer teams struggle with, is that final execute.
It's execution, like you say, and it's being able to see what's happened, see what's gonna happen, and understand what you now need to do the rest. Get yourself over the line. They get themselves so close. 5 versus 3. The plan really should be looking to go down in that scenario, or you should be looking to get trades. You can even trade off that and still come out with the round. But like you say, it's just that struggle of getting themselves over the line. But players like Vexed, they've been in this situation before, they know how to deal with it. Pi can jump out, real big play, get a 2K. All of a sudden, it shifts the tide. Epsilon start playing a little bit more scared. Pi finishes off with another 2.
There's one thing that I believe that Epsilon are trying to do, and that's kind of force that big impact operator that we've talked about. They're bringing the Ying. Ying's done nothing whatsoever, and that's the high risk, high reward that you take from her. Either she pops off, like we've seen Ying before, Ying was that good, she got nerfed at a point, because, teams were really using that factor, using it in the correct way. They're not using Ying in a correct way, so you're seeing her do virtually nothing. I think if they stick with more of a setup, I would love to see, instead of Blackbeard trying to play this main entry, rotate over towards that ventilation window, because that cuts off any rotations, especially with the way that Epsilon have been playing, is opening up those fountain walls, since we know the lack of bandit is a big issue for Vex at the moment. As soon as they try and run away, you will have a man there sitting on the flank ready for it. And that's what I think they need to do, is crossfires. They're not having the crossfires, they're not having the refrags. They're just trying to punch their way through the main gate, and it's never going to work. And hey, look, who would have thought? I did. That's what I said.
That's it's a great prediction there from Demo. You can see Shermie is going to make his way over onto the ventilation. He's not going to hit the window out just yet. He's no doubt going to be waiting on a drone or waiting on some information, and he's going to make his presence known when the time is right. But the normal push is going to come through from Epsilon, the push they tried pretty much every round now, pushing themselves in through triple wall and just getting themselves into offices and establish that control. Astro already playing in the corridor. He's alerted Legion of his presence. That's going to allow Proyo to be able to open the wall. Is Proyo going to be able to get this kill this time? Because it's something that he really has struggled with, and it's a difficult angle to kind of go for. Astro now going to look to open up Fountain and make it very awkward for any players playing inside of Fountain, which, like you say, is going to cause a potential rotate back, which could cause Shermie on the vent a chance of getting the kill.
Pi has those goo mines, he can keep creating them as much as he can. I'm quite surprised how one of them has managed to land on the top of the top there. You can see he's landed on the little light. I don't think that's going to come in very handy for him. Quite a skill shot. Guaranteed he couldn't make that shot if he tried again. That's those kind of one in a million things. And I like in the position. It's very tucked away in the corner. He knows when he has to watch one angle because he still has players behind him. Maybe not so much anymore as Astro has found Dumpling, and Pi once again aggressive with the T5 SMG. A good rate of fire. Here comes the peek, and the headshot will be in response from Pi. Impact grenade gets tossed out as well, just to try and scare him away, but he's not going to be watching his angles. Nearly gets the turn on, but there's Pro rampaging in with a sledge, and it'll be a 4 versus 3 as those goo mines will start to come in. Shermie will find Feral on those ventilation windows. Jesus trying his best to fight back, but he will be found by Capcan as well. A flurry of kills come out from Epsilon, and they will have the lead. Zach with a great angle, but doesn't get anything from it into a 1 versus 4. Here comes the peek round from the Blackbeard, the worst nightmare for the Echo. And Shermie will put that to bed, and Epsilon, they get a well-needed round back for them as we go into the halftime switch.
And like you say, it was a little bit more two-dimensional, their attack, but still they kind of just brute forced the way in through that. And some of those trades could have gone either way. They did a great job of closing out the round. I really thought that Epsilon were done for there when the Yokai drone started coming through, but I think it might have been Feral just didn't quite manage to hit his shots with the SMG-11. Very unforgiving gun in terms of recoil. But of course, we are now going to switch sides, so it's going to be Epsilon's turn to take the defense, and we're going to be going over onto Armory Lockers. I think Epsilon have got to be kind of happy with that scoreline coming out of the first phase. We have said that Border can play out to be a little bit more defender-sided, so to come out at 2 rounds to 4 probably isn't the end of the world for them, but they're not going to be able to rest on the laurels now. They really need to pick it up and pick up these next couple of rounds.
And this is where they can have a little bit more fun. They're on the defense. It's the attackers you have to play around the defense at this stage. They can go ahead and have their rumor set up. We know they have the capable fraggers that we've seen from last week and even this week as well. And certainly, looking at the way Epsilon have been on the defense, I think their refrags are a lot stronger if you look at last week compared to some of their attacks. To be fair, some of their attack rounds last week was quite a miraculous couple of victories. I know there was the one round which I did have a little bit of a meltdown about, where somehow they won a 2 versus 4 with 10 seconds to go. That should never happen, yet it did. So there is little things like that that Epsilon do have up their sleeve, but I haven't seen it.
5 seconds to go.
Missing Madman, perhaps?
You've got to be missing Madman. I mean, Madman's a very impact player, and he dropped double digits last week, which is a really, it's a big deal. And you've got to look to try and, replace that in some way. Now, I'm sure Blur's doing great, but are they playing as well as they did?
He's on support, which I don't like.
Is he playing into the same, role that Madman used to fill? Because we've seen what happens. It's not just so easy as switching one support player out with another support player or one fragger out with another fragger. Everyone, no one really fits into a category, and everyone plays things slightly different. So, yeah, they've got to be missing Madman to a point, and that's maybe why we're seeing a slightly different Epsilon. But then again, Vexed are still getting used to playing without Doki, so it's the two teams that, while they're both, relatively known teams, they're a little bit unknown at the moment because we're not sure on how these, lineups are stacking up.
So Blur has the UMP playing with the Fox to set up the angle grip and the long barrel, only missing the red dot, and the diffuser is starting to be planted by Dumpling. The quick plant at the B will come in big. Blur has to try and whip out that cardiac scanner, see if he can find one, but the diffuser has been planted. However, Dumpling will get refragged by Shermie, and he's going to try and go for the quick one. The counter diffuse tries to come in, but a flurry of kills once again by Pi. A double kill from him. It squares into a 2 versus 2. Pro and Blur will have to try and retake. Blur still has that C4 in hand, but in this location he can't toss it that far. As you see, the two players of Vexed will hold off Proyo, and the defuse will try and come in. Down to 4 seconds, and Jesus will see the body. Blur comes off, and Jesus with the last fadeaway shot manages to find the pulse. And what an explosive round for Vexed to get us kicked off on their attacking rounds.
Managed to put just enough damage there with Hibana's type 21 to, sort of, I don't know, avoid the defuse going off, I guess. But ultimately, I think if the diffuser had carried on, it maybe would have stuck in that scenario.
That observer system is so good.
It's much better, isn't it?
How good? No way would me and you have seen that diffuse go down. There's no way. We were looking at somebody inside of customs.
There's often times where, there's action going on elsewhere, someone's snuck in and getting the diffuser down, and to have the little pop-up, brilliant.
There's times where I've cast and I'm like, oh, the diffuser has also been planted in the midst of it. That's what happens. And now we finally get to see stuff that we don't typically see, because remember, there's only one guy that can plant the diffuser, and if we're looking at another side of the map with the kind of Roamer versus Fragger battle, we completely miss those quick rushes. That's great.
There's no excuses now.
No.
No excuses at all. So we're going to be going back upstairs yet again. Epsilon obviously just not managing to take the victory up there. So they're going to give it another shot. Definitely no reason why they shouldn't. I'm sure they're not going to let the diffuser go down also quickly this time, as they're going to have to do something just to mix that up a little bit and avoid Vex rushing in. But Vex are looking in pretty good shape at this point, and I think to say that this was one of the matches that we'd sort of billed as the match to watch, it seems to be falling quite heavily in Vex's favour at this point. Obviously subject to change, there's still plenty of rounds left on the board, there's still a good chance for Epsilon to start dragging these things back. But judging off what they're doing, I think they're going to have to change something up pretty drastically. I
think I would say it's the match to watch, simply because I would love to see how Vex bounce back from their first loss. And I'd also like to see how the Epsilon strategy of this run and gun, no real dictative strategy, works against a more formidable foe. That's what I'm this is why I thought it would be a really good match to watch, to see the two playstyles clash against each other. You look at all 4 teams inside of Group B. All of them have completely different playstyles, and talking about playstyles, another quick rush from Vex, and somehow Sherby pulls off the double kill before Dumpling swings in with a 5.56 and has the refrag. Pro will try and retake the bomb site, but Pi on a rampage, a double for him. Zach will also find Blur, and all is up to the Maestro. He can't do anything. Another one for Pi. This man wants his win.
Pi is going off. How many double kills has he had this game? He must have had at least 3 or 4. Again, a very, very quick round from Vex. We're seeing a totally different side of them. They're really proving to us that last week was a bit of a blip, and that isn't something that we're going to be, getting used to seeing at all. You can see there, Pi, 14 kills. Shermy doing his best on Epsilon. He's got 12 of his own. Good spread of kills, maybe a couple on the lower end of the Vex leaderboard struggling there, but what can you do when you've got a guy that's getting 14? There's only so many kills, and someone's got to get him. So Pi doing a great job of fragging out. His team are doing a really good job of supporting him being able to do so. We're moving on to match point now. Epsilon, they're going to be taking us to the same location. They're going to be taking us to Armory Lockers. I'd really like to see a change at this stage, because Vex have attacked it 2 different ways and got 2 different wins.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
It's a lot of work to do for Epsilon. You can see that the kind of operator changes. You can see Bandit being brought in, where typically we know the Echo's still available. Epsilon have no intention of playing Echo. Maybe if they had an Echo in that scenario, that could have really slowed things down for Vex, even more so than it already was.
I'm not sure that I think the Yokai drone would have definitely done something, but I'm not sure if the Epsilon would have been able to get kills off the back of it, purely because of how quickly Vex were able to get in. There's a chance that even the Yokai drones maybe not in the right position at that stage, because it just really was so early on, and it's not something that you're going to expect. But Vex are going to have a much tougher job this time. They're going to be aware of the Bandit on the board without a doubt. They've got the fear that they're going to be able to do some good work underneath if necessary. But they've also brought the Thatcher. I love a Thatcher. I just feel like there's plenty of ways to get rid of electronics, but Thatcher usually does it quickest.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think Thatcher still just...
He just suits the rush.
It's so much easier. Sure, you can bring to get rid of bandit charges. We've seen Maverick kind of be played as that glorified Thatcher. As soon as you see a Maverick go, oh, they're coming this way, guys. Thatcher. Straight away, bang, you're on the bomb site, don't have to worry about Q, your mines are already gone. Another thing about Border, Probably this is Legion's strongest map, and already it will be Epsilon this time in the forefront with their first kill off the round. Capcan will find one, but quickly refragged by Zach. Dumpners also took quite a lot of damage. Once again, just the aggression coming in from the players of Vexed. Seems to be too much for Epsilon to handle. Another one for Zach on the Sophia. However, they have lost 2 players from Astro. Jesus will find the refrag at 2 versus 2, and this is already after a minute. Down to Jesus inside of a 1 versus 2. Can he pull off a miracle?
He's definitely got the ability to do this. Look at the timer. We've got 2 minutes left. He's got all of his X-Kairos, he's got all his stuns, he's got drones as well. So as long as he's able to keep himself alive for a couple of seconds while he gets the lay of the land and figures out where the remaining defenders are going to be playing. We've got a Legion and we've got a Mute. So we're going to have a C4 on the Mute and we're going to have some Goo Mines with Legion. The Goo Mines can prove very difficult in this sort of a situation because if as soon as you get stuck by one, the defenders have got a audio cue as to where you roughly are, and it can just become very difficult to move and very slow. So Jesus is going to want to try and break this down and try really to figure if he can see any of the Goo Mines before he's able to step in, but I'm sure that Proyo's doing a good job of chucking those out there. He's going to put some shots down there onto metal detectors. Looks like he's not got all that much information at this point. This barbed wire is going to prove a little bit of a nuisance for him, as he's definitely going to be alerting Shermie as to his whereabouts. The MP5 there is in a very good position to get this kill. Obviously, Hibana got the Type 21, so not got all the rounds in the world to be getting this kill, as he's going to have to, you know, probably try and avoid to reload between the engagements. Shermie going to close it out. The stun grenade didn't quite do the business there, and Shermie was able to punish him for it.
Shermie holding his team together at the seams. You have to commit Astro. Massive double kill, a very risky double kill as well. You don't see it very too often. A quick aggressive peek from the Double Dwarf office. Vex should have that covered. Jesus did have a refrag, but again, if he was holding that just 2 seconds earlier, then he wouldn't have lost 2 of his teammates, and certainly that round would more than likely have went in Vex's favour. So Shermie and Pi, 14 kills each, battling out to see who will take home that MVP. And again, 3 more rounds, that's all we have left, and will we only see 1 more or 2? That's up to Vex if we want to try and take the victory, or will Epsilon claw back 4 rounds on the bounce and take a draw? We still do have the draw format inside of this Premiership, so always keep that in mind, that a team, even if they are still a match point, they can drop points from it as well.
After Vex's performance last week and them taking a loss against Wind and Rain, they're not going to want to be looking to get away with a draw, especially being on match point from like a 6-2 perspective. Now obviously 6-3. They're really going to want to look to close this out here, because it's all very important that they're going to be able to get these points onto the leaderboard so that they, you know, start to place a little bit better. You know, on the other side, Epsilon, equally, they're going to be looking to get this draw now. There's a little bit of a disheartening factor there, because they know that they're not going to be able to get the full points for a win, but I think they'll take a draw, especially based off the performance this far. We're going to be seeing a different bomb site, like we said, going to be taking us down to ventilation. Not quite as aggressive, maybe a hold as Vex had, but still only playing 1 defender down on site, although Proyo has now made his rotation as well, and it looks as though Shermie might be doing the same. So going to be a 3-2 split as opposed to Vex's 4-1 split. That's going to make things a little bit more interesting, especially when Vex get their way onto the bomb site, because there's already going to be more players on that ground floor that are going to be able to, you know, cause a nuisance. But it looks as though Vex is going to be rushing through detention. Pi, first blood there onto Shermie, taking the castle, and that's going to be pretty much detention control taken, CCTV control taken. Pi going to be picking up another one onto Proyo. Pi is absolutely unstoppable this evening. A quick 2K within the first 30 seconds of the map.
Zach comes in with the Candelas, and this, of course, is going to fend under that Vex playstyle. They see an opening, and they will try and exploit that. They know that certainly that A bomb site is going to be the weaker out of the 2, simply because there is still more holes located upstairs inside of Armory. They still have 1 more roamer lurking above, and it will be Astro Blur. He has to be ready for one heck of a fight coming his way. We'll try and swerve around and try and deny that charge, but no, it will get opened up, and here comes the quick shotgun play. Misses it, and Zach will push in on very low health, however. Does hear 1 above him as well, and goes for the Candela toss, and here comes the drop from the Jaeger. Asher will find 1, but still a 2 versus 4. Diffuser's not been planted just yet. Capcam with 1 as well. Here comes the fight back from Vexed, and there goes the diffuser. Epsilon will have to play quick on their feet, but no, Pi once again, that man on the sledge is on a rampage, as he's only looking for one more to go. Capcan, all hopes lie on you, and Dublin, the flying Scotsman, comes out with a 5-5-6 and puts it to bed, as Vexed take the win over Epsilon, 7 rounds to 3.
Vexed definitely deserved that win. They played very, very well, and it's almost like they like putting themselves under a little bit of pressure in those scenarios to try and, you know, really perform when it counts. They like to really force that rush play style. It really pressures your opponent and it can make them feel uncomfortable, but it seems as though Vexed thrive in that kind of an atmosphere.
Completely agree. I just think that it was just a Vexed map in general, a sporter.
Yeah,
I kind of looked at it and said, this is probably their strongest map.
I mean, we did discuss it within the map ban, is that I think it was down to Epsilon to ban out Consulate or Border.
Both those maps
are Vex maps. Yeah. Like, you know, you look at what they played last season, most played maps, some most successful maps. They were put in a difficult position, but I mean, Epsilon did a great job of picking up a couple of rounds, and they've got to be proud of the, you know, a couple of the kills they got and some of the team that they were showing. It seems as though they're getting a little bit more coordinated as a squad, but ultimately Vexed there doing what it needs to do.
They're just missing just that one impact player.
It's just that a couple of, yeah, like you say, they were looking for that big play, that big impact play, that Ying, that Blackbeard, and it just didn't.
Astro was nearly there, but he wasn't there in the early game, which is where they lost it, really.
Yeah, it's just crazy stuff. Pi, I think, contributed to 23 kills in the end. I think at least 17 frags on the board, which is crazy stuff. And not only that, but he's always the one starting to make the plays. He was entry fragging every single time, giving, you know, more work for Epsilon to play with. And there was just nothing they could do to stop that. And one round to take it apart as well is the fact that Epsilon at one stage in one of the rounds, I think it was in that fourth one as well, you know, they were up 2-5 at one stage and then just completely fell apart. But that just shows what an experienced, structured team can do. They've got these set little strategies here and there where, you know, even at some stage they feel like, you know, cards on the table, you know, they feel like it's going to be end of the round and that's it. Sometimes you can kind of be a bit overzealous, you kind of overextend, and in that way Vexed just shows their veteran form.
Yeah, I think it just kind of shows that the IGLing from both these teams. We know that Feral, manning the helm, he knows how to play the game. Plays it damn good as well, you have to add to that, so I'm sure, of course, he always has that big part inside of the team, but again, you have to give credit to Pi, certainly my MVP. The guy was on a rampage today.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely stepping into Doki's shoes there. Doki's the kind of player that you would expect on Vexed in the previous season to be going out and get this many kills, and Pi certainly stepped up to the plate there in that regard. Yeah,
it doesn't surprise me in the slightest. You know, at some stage we thought Pi might slow down at some point, but he didn't even have an off switch. Literally throughout the whole game from the start to the finish. But Shermy, you got to understand that he actually did pretty well as well. The only difference was he didn't get much damage on the board compared to Pi. But Pi just did everything he could. He entry fragged, he managed to get the flanks when it was necessary. There's so much work that one man managed to actually get done. And it just shows from the scoreline as well what he actually managed to do. But 7-3, you know, wasn't too much of a surprise. We said before the game started, it's more of a mixed team versus a very well-structured team. But you've got players like Pi contributing to 23 kills like that, you know, just on your own. That's some ridiculous stuff.
I think it just shows that really if one player steps up, your entire team just gets the whole upheaval. It's kind of like the morale of the battlefield just goes up just in a big massive charge. And I think certainly for Epsilon, Shermy, I thought he played an excellent game. You know, he came out swinging, he got 2 Ks, 3 Ks, but the rest of his team just weren't able to capitalize on those big plays he made.
Yeah, it's just such crazy stuff. Like, is there anything you felt like Epsilon could have done to change that? Because there were some times where it had the advantage, but we'll just lose it straight away.
I think you've got to look at Epsilon almost under a different lens this week, purely because they've not got Madman. Yeah. I think if they had Madman, and this isn't to take anything away from Blur, Blur's a fantastic player, but he's obviously not used to playing within that squad and in that team. You put Madman into there, you get a player like Shermy going off like he did, get a team that you're used to playing with, a player like Madman who's able to play well and support, he's able to get the kills when it counts. Could be seeing a lot of a different, you know, much different game there. And I think that's maybe what we had in mind before the sort of last minute roster changes came through and we realised who was actually going to be facing off today. So yeah, like you say, Shermy stepping up to the plate. If Madman had been in that roster, could we have seen a different result? Maybe. Ultimately, it was Vexed, and you know, it was almost the Pi show, I guess.
It definitely was. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But Sherman weren't doing too bad as well. But you know, the only difference was just the fact that, you know, Pi did so much work. We said he's basically just doing an all-rounder. There's nothing less he could have done really to actually help him with that victory. So, of course, Vexed did such a great job in that first match to at least try and make a kind of like a comeback from that first week. I think it really showed in that match, but they were annoyed, you know. They were pretty peeved in terms of like actually losing that first game, and then they're trying to say, well, you know what, we need to change our ways, we need to at least try and step our game up, and they have done, even if it is against a mixed team like that.